All right guys, so there you have it. It probably looks a little bit better on camera, or actually maybe it doesn't, I don't know, but it definitely looks kind of greenish bluish. It's definitely darker, but it is not dark enough. What's up guys, and welcome back to the infamous project. It is the end of the day here for me today. Been really busy working on my projects and trying to get ahead and, well, trying to relax and enjoy my time down here in Texas with the nicer weather. Once again, man, it's flip-flopping. It's like sweater, jacket, beanie to t-shirt and beautiful sunshine. So I know I promised you guys that there'd be more DIY coming, and I am going to hold myself accountable and make sure you guys get your fix today. First things first, I'm going to be taking the Corbeau leather front seats out of the Calypso Coupe. These came with the car. They're in really good shape. They were clearly just bolted in there and enjoyed. Well, not really even enjoyed, because the guy I bought this car off of didn't really sound like he had much time to enjoy it when everything was said and done. So these seats are going to come out. Nice black. I forget the style of this seat. I'll look it up in LMR and I'll put it down in the description. But they're pretty nice, right? Decent sized bolsters, not too big. I don't like it when these bolsters are, you know, even higher than this. This is probably the maximum that I'd want to see on the side, because these just end up wearing down super quickly, and well, then your seat doesn't look so good. So we're gonna take those seats out, and I'm not gonna tell you what's gonna go into the car. Rather, I'm gonna tell you which car those seats are going into. And you guessed it, they're actually gonna go into the 88 white Cali Coupe. And if you guys have watched the feature video on this, and if you didn't watch mine, maybe you've watched Gearhead's, or is Gearhead's feature video on this car even out yet? Needless to say, they're going in this car. And this car has your base model LX cloth interior with an annoying door chime. So you can see here, this interior's had better days. Bolster's all messed up. These seats are gonna come out, and this rear seat, I'm actually gonna recover it because I have the Corbeau matching recovering kit that's gonna match those seats right there. So that way we're gonna have a nice set of front and black leathers to go in this car. And last but not least, I'm going to put a black carpet in this car, but I'm not buying a carpet. Today we are going to dye a carpet. One reason for that is that I really don't like the aftermarket carpets. I just feel like whatever they're made out of, or the texture, it's almost like AstroTurf. Maybe not that extreme, but you guys understand where I'm going with it. I just don't like the texture. I don't like the feel. They're super thin. I know there's different variations of aftermarket carpets, and there's probably some good ones out there, but this is going into my personal opinion. And my personal opinion is that if you actually have a really good factory carpet, why not use it? So this is the important thing. Even if you didn't want to dye it, but you just wanted to bring it back to life, you would be surprised. As long as you take that carpet out of the car and you spray on some really good products, pressure wash it, that thing could potentially come up looking like new. Now, if you got some nasty stains in there and they're not gonna come out, and you've tried everything, or maybe you're wanting to change the color to black, black is a really good color if you're gonna dye or do a color change. So that's what we're going to do today, is I'm gonna be pulling the seats out of this car, and well, the seats out of this car, and we'll be recovering the back seat. We're gonna be pulling that carpet out, and we're gonna be dyeing it black. So you guys are probably wondering, what do you use to dye your carpet, and what is the procedure? So, big garbage can, you're gonna need a lot of water, and then you're gonna need the dye. So I got that in the box over here, but you guys are probably wondering about these beautiful Borbettes that I have sitting along the wall here. I just got these shipped in. They came from overseas, and I have a really good wheel source over there. And man, these things look even better than what I thought they were gonna be when they showed up. Check out this beautiful polished lip. You guessed it, these are the rare 18 by 10s, and then I got the 18 by 8s still wrapped up over there. These guys have been fully refinished, insides painted. The barrels on the backside are painted. So these wheels are super sweet. In fact, they might even be nicer than the ones that I have on the Stalker Vert sitting over there, because that one, they're all just original. They don't have the polished lips. So, you know, maybe I could put those polished lips would look hot on the Stalker, or I could have them as another option for the Silver Coupe. I did do a little wheel swap a couple years ago just to see what they would look like, and they did look pretty badass. So anyways, back to the subject of today. You can see I got my little box here. So these are bottles of RIT black dye. Typically when I've done this before, I've used 10 boxes of the powder dye, same product. And from what I read, one bottle is supposed to be equivalent to 2 boxes. These bottles will go mix in the garbage can, and we'll get the carpet submerged. I'll run you through the procedure. And then after the dye, I'm gonna use 2 bottles of the Color Stay additive. So this is gonna help make sure that the color stays and keeps it from potentially fading, running, all of those other things. So there's the products that we're going to be using. So let's move on and start unbolting some seats and ripping out some carpet. Taking out your carpet, guys, pretty straightforward. Got to pull the seats out, 4 bolts, 15 millimeter front and back. Get those 2 front seats out of there. We'll be taking off the door sill plates, kick panels, and then we're going to have to take the center console out of there as well. So we got some 8 millimeter bolts on the armrest, some Phillips head screws. We are going to have to pull the plate underneath the steering column, tilt the glove box down, get the screws that hold the center console from either side, and then depending if the screws are actually down at the bottom on the backside metal piece that holds some of the factory stereo plates in, they're usually missing. If they're there, then you would have to unscrew those as well. So we will take a look at that one when we get there, but that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty straightforward. Should have this thing out in, let's call it 12 minutes. There we have it. Everything that needs to come out in order to pull out the carpet has been removed, and I was right. This little metal piece that I was talking about earlier where your factory radio would screw into, and funny enough, there's actually only 1 hole on either side. Normally there's 2 holes, 2 screws on either side. So maybe the workers at the assembly line were lazy that day. Who knows? But this came right out. The nice thing was, as well, so the factory wire harness for the radio wasn't even all hacked up. They actually used the proper adapters, which is pretty rare to find these days. You guys might struggle when you're trying to lift the console out over the automatic shifter housing here. Same thing goes with if you guys have a 5-speed and you're trying to get the console out over the shifter mechanism. Now you could either take this piece out. You're definitely gonna have to have the shifter all the way down in the automatic case, and you can very lightly kind of lift the console up over this. but you can unbolt this too if you would rather or prefer that. With the 5-speed, sometimes you have to undo your shifter handle from the actual shifter itself, and that'll help you be able to slide out the main frame of the center console. So now all that's left to do is really gently lift this carpet on out of here. One thing that I've noticed, it appears there might be Dynamat or a kill mat. There's something under here. Huh, kill mat. There you go. All right. We can just flip that up. Now we can slowly take our carpet out. So you just want to take your time, guys, and kind of lift in the center like this. Get it all separated from the kick panels. Untuck it from underneath your gas pedal. Pass any wiring through. In this case, our fuel pump relay. Always like a nice surprise, you know, when you see that the whole floor pan's already been kill matted. That's kind of a nice bonus. The only thing that would make me nervous here is that if this was actually a Canadian car, I'd be wanting to know what's underneath that, because this is a double-edged sword. If you guys have a car that's rusty in any other places and there's something like that on your floor pan, be cautious. They might have stuck it down. There could have been rust there. God knows how they repaired it, if they prepped it, if they did anything, if it's hiding stuff. It's sort of like a shaved engine bay. There can be a lot of potential gremlins hiding underneath there. Luckily, there is no rust anywhere on the underside of this car, just anywhere in general, having been from California its whole life. So I'm not overly concerned. So that is something to keep in mind, guys. If you guys have any rust and there's something down there on that floor pan, a lot of people are spraying that almost what looks like rocker guard. Well, that stuff hides a lot, especially if it's the rubberized stuff or like bed liner. You might, like I said, if the rest of your vehicle is completely rust-free, you probably don't have too much to worry about. But if there's rust in other places and you see all that stuff, you might want to walk away. So here's our carpet. We got some spare change, bubblegum wrappers, a French fry, some remnants of, I don't know, Wendy's straws or something, a bounce sheet to keep the mice away while I had the car stored. And amazingly enough, this carpet actually has its factory sound deadening on the underside as well. So this guy is kind of discolored. You can actually see the nice factory smoke grayness of the carpet here, and you can see how discolored a lot of the rest is, especially up there on the passenger side and then kind of on both sides. But other than that, there's no tears, the carpet is solid, it's complete, all the holes are here. And that's sort of the other thing that I don't like about aftermarket carpets, is that you'll find yourself having to trim, measure where the holes are, cut all the holes out, everything else. Not to say that it's the end of the world, but I rather start with this. This came from factory, it's a quality material, it's molded, all the holes are there, it's cut, it's trimmed, everything is done. So option one, we could re-dye it gray if that's what we were going for. But in this case, I'm actually going for a black and gray theme in the interior. So we're gonna have black seats and a black carpet. And then, you know, the two-tone of the door panels with the black on top and the dash, which is black on top, the smoke gray on the bottom. So I think the contrast is gonna look really, really good. So that's gonna be it for tonight. It's not the end of this video though. I'm just getting hungry and it's getting late. So I'm gonna call it a night, and then tomorrow we'll come back and we're gonna get this thing prepped up and ready for dye. So it's the next day, and I'm about to get ready on dyeing this carpet. You guys might be hearing a little bit of a chop outside. And in case you're wondering what it is, well, it's actually my neighbor's Foxbody. A neighbor, he's maybe a mile and a half down the road. I saw the car parked over at his place last year, and then just kind of stopped by, introduced myself, said, hey, what's up? And in the meantime, while I was back in Canada, he ended up getting his motor rebuilt, and the thing works pretty good. Trick flow top end, 306 I believe, and he's been doing the whole quarter horse remote tuning on it. So I've been helping him out with my laptop, doing some data logging, going back and forth, trying to make sure that the idle and everything is set right, and that the drivability is good. This thing pulls like a freight train up at the higher RPMs. But now it's just kind of ironing out the finer details once the car is warmed up and you're stuck in traffic and all that other type of normal driving. So if you guys didn't see that on Instagram, a lot of you guys did, but here's the car, and well, there you go, nice little interlude. So while that's warming up, I'll go do a pull and check the drivability out. I'll send the data log over to the tuner, and we're gonna get back at this guy right here. So all that we really got to do, the next step, hit it with the shop vac, get it as clean as possible. And this carpet overall is pretty clean. If yours is pretty filthy to start, I would recommend maybe hitting it with the pressure washer first and just trying to get any stains or anything else out of it. Really, do you really want to try and dye on top of some spilt coffee and maybe some gum or God knows whatever else is in there? So get your carpet as clean as possible. Then I'm going to be ripping all of the factory sound deadening off the underside. Now this is kind of just glued on there. I'll be ripping all this off. It will be going back. This is not a weight saving DIY. This is a, you know, we're just dyeing the carpet here. So that's for two reasons. Number one, we don't want all the dye soaking into the sound deadening because, well, that'd just be a waste of dye. Number two, it's gonna be extra heavy if you were to soak all this. So we don't want the extra weight, and we don't want the extra wait time of having to wait for all this to dry up after. So this is all going to get peeled off, and then it's just going to be the bare bones carpet left over before we mix up our solution and dunk this guy in there. You're going to notice some of it will stick on the bottom side of the carpet here, and that's perfectly normal. That's just the adhesive, which is keeping hold to some of this stuff. You can try and peel some of that off if you want. Again, it'll just be less, I guess, wasted material that will possibly be soaking up the dye. So now, last but not least, here's a little bit of a trick for you guys that's going to help you get this carpet into the trash can and be able to maneuver it a little bit more easily. So I'm actually going to take a blade and I'm going to cut the carpet here, right up the center. I'm not going to do it back there over the back side of the transmission tunnel because, well, you would see that. Everything here you don't actually see because this is all underneath the center console and up towards the firewall. So what that's going to allow us to do is when that's cut, then we can slowly put one side in and then kind of wrap stuff around, and then we can put the other side in so we can fully submerge the carpet into the trash can. There we go, the cut is done. So here we are, carpet, hose, garbage can, dye, and a shovel. You might be wondering what the shovel is for. Well, that's gonna be my Witch's Brew stir stick. Don't forget gloves. I would highly recommend you probably get like longer gloves that go up your arms, because the dye, if you get it on you, it is gonna be hard to get it out. So just a warning, I am experienced and this is all I got here. And I know Brittany wouldn't like it if I stole her dishwashing gloves. So all we're gonna do now, we're gonna start putting water in the garbage can. Now here's the thing with the directions, guys. If you guys read on RIT's website, it'll tell you use the hottest water possible. So don't be doing this on a freezing cold day. You can see I'm in a t-shirt, and they will also say you can add salt to your solution if the material is a certain set of fabrics, or you can add vinegar if it's another set of fabrics. I'm not gonna add anything. I haven't added stuff in the past, and well, I'm not gonna start adding it now. So gonna go ahead, 5 bottles, fill this guy, don't fill it all the way up, because you got to remember, once the carpet's in here, it's going to start rising all of the water. So in reality, what we're going to do is probably fill it about halfway with the 5 bottles of dye. We're going to start putting the carpet in. From there, if we need to add more water, then we'll do so then. So let the water level get up a little bit more here, and then I'm actually going to try and move the carpet around as much as possible, because you got to remember, wedging the carpet in there, it means that there's going to be a lot of creases, and you don't want this thing coming out like a tie-dye t-shirt, right? You want to make sure that you get full coverage, that the dye gets to all the places that you need it to. So we'll get the water up, we'll move the carpet around, use the shovel if we have to, and then we'll put something heavy on the top so that way it'll keep it submerged, and that's the trick. Normally dyeing stuff, they'll say 30 minutes, an hour, this, that. This guy's gonna be sitting overnight. One thing that I am gonna wanna do though is every couple of hours, I'm gonna rotate it around, and you know, maybe 2-3 times, just to make sure that we get that full coverage. And then, like I said, that thing can sit submerged overnight, and then tomorrow we will knock it out and see what we have. Whew, what's up, guys? So it is not the next day, it's actually 2 days later, because yesterday actually got freezing cold. And if you guys remember, I told you don't do this in the cold and try and have warm water. And it was really windy, and I just let it sit here. So needless to say, I'm gonna pull the battery off that I was using as weight to keep everything submerged. And let's take a look at this carpet. I'm actually quite concerned about the cold weather. Like this water is freezing. And yeah, you know what? This isn't dark enough, guys. Alright guys, so there you have it. It probably looks a little bit better on camera, or actually maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But it definitely looks kind of greenish bluish. It's definitely darker, but it is not dark enough. So let me evaluate here, because that water is actually super cold, and it's way colder than I would like to see it. Typically when I've done this before, I've used 10 boxes of the powder dye, same product, and from what I read, 1 bottle is supposed to be equivalent to 2 boxes. So I figure 5 bottles should be 10 boxes and everything should be good to go, but clearly it's not. So I'm wondering, I might just say screw it, I'll throw the other 5 bottles in. Really be nice if I could warm that water up somehow. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't want to pour that out at the same time, because there's probably still some dye left in there, right? So I'm going to ponder this for a minute. Chances are I'm just going to go for it, send it, as they say, and we'll see if we can get a better result here.